bit about myself. I'm a native Atlantan. I went to Emory University. I went to University of Georgia Law School. Go Dogs. This is our year. That's all I'll say about that. I was a trust and estates attorney for a couple of years. I decided I did not like that. My father was not happy, but I went back into the restaurant business. I got, due to a great lease I had, I got a little nest egg out of the restaurant business, became a real estate agent, sold homes for about 15 years until it had completely taken over my life because I was not good at work-life balance, which my mother reminded me of on Thanksgiving when I was leaving her dinner to go to the airport to pick up a client. And so I went to work at the Real Estate Commission, and I've been doing that about 17 years. So I know a little bit about real estate, a little bit about law, a little bit about food, and a lot about regulation, which is not particularly interesting. So I like to talk to people. I have a good time. I like to interact with them, but the subject matter is dry sometimes. So I will do my best to keep it interesting. So people think, they associate the Real Estate Commission with licensing. You go there, go to a school that we regulate, you take a state exam at a test center, you get a license, and then you renew it every 4 years, and you're annoyed by the CE perhaps that you have to do, which is 36 hours, including 3 hours of license law, which is what we do. And most of the people who are licensed, they don't interact with us any more than that. And in fact, I held the license for 15 years and called the Real Estate Commission once during that time. So I was waiting for my license, and I called and I said, how long until I get my license? I need to go to work. I basically said, you'll get it when you get it. You hang up the phone. So we have same-day licensing now in Georgia. Pass that test exam center, broker or salesperson or TAM, you get that license the afternoon. So we've come a long way. But what the Real Estate Commission really does is to protect the public interest in real estate. And that's really broad, It's the practitioners who hold the licenses. It's the people who have bought and sold homes. It's the people who are thinking about buying and selling homes and buying and selling businesses with property attached. One of the interesting things to me about the immigration conversation, and I'm not going to get into politics because I know better than that, but it's that, when people talk about why they want to come to America, it's to own homes and to own businesses. And they say that over and over and over again. So I think one of the things that gets lost in, the immigration of who should come and what should happen is that the reasons for some people coming, they're really, I find those to be really inspiring and heartening when they say that when you read articles about it. So we need to have a regulated real estate system so that people have faith in it because it's important. One of the biggest assets people own, whether it's their home or a business, is one of the most, complicated transactions. I mean, there are all these people in the room connected to it in different ways, whether it's attorneys or advice or, I don't know much about finance. I wrote down money people. There seem to be a lot of money people. Attorneys, attorneys. I am an attorney. I have done that. Attorneys are always good for those really hard questions. They go right to that gray area in the license law right away. What about that one? And then, let me change the facts by one. So when we get to question time, I always have to watch out for those. Everyone has an interest in having a good structure. And that's why we have the license. So the licensing is really going to do two things. It's going to be minimal competence to practice. Now, does that mean that those of us working at the Real Estate Commission don't believe in best practice? No, we believe in best practice. I don't really believe in minimal competence. That's what regulation does. And the second thing is to have a fair and honest market environment so people have faith in the system and believe. And so it's good for all of us. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. Well, how do we do that? One way we do that is through the upfront part of the class and the exam and the continuing education. And then the other part we do that through is the disciplinary action. And so, most people, if they're dealing with us in any way other than renewal, are dealing with us in disciplinary action. And so that is not a pleasant experience. you know, half of the staff, there are 30 people working there, half of the staff are in the investigative side, and I'm in charge of that group, which means I get to see everything, basically. And so, you know, what I'm going to talk about a little bit today is some things that we're seeing out there in the marketplace for those of you who hold real estate licenses, so that maybe you don't have to interact with me in that capacity. I much more enjoy coming to talk to people out in the world and kind of raising consciousness or putting in an awareness than dealing with someone on the disciplinary action on the back end. And I'm capable of doing that. I'm very genial and I'm pretty mild-mannered, but when it comes down to it, if someone's done something wrong, you know, we have to get in there and deal with the nitty-gritty of it. So we're going to talk a little bit about complaints, and then I'm going to turn it over to my boss, who is much better storyteller than I am. He's going to talk a bit. All right, so good news, because the real estate licensees always get real quiet. The room always gets real still when we start talking about the disciplinary action. So just keep thinking I'm here to help you, okay? Don't, you know, I can just always feel the room go like this. All right. There are roughly 92,000 agents in Georgia altogether, 92,000 licensees. That's the top 10 in the country. We're in the top 10 populous states. Some of the bigger states are way ahead of that 92,000. California, Florida, Texas all have more, but we're up there. Of those 92,000, 77,000 of them are active. All right, what does it mean if you're active? Well, you got your license out there in a brokerage. A broker is holding your license, whether you're doing 400 transactions or 100 or 25 or 0. We count that as an active from the way we look at it. So that's 77,000 active. All right, so 77,000 active licensees. How many complaints does that kick off every year? Well, the last 3 years, it's kicked off roughly 2,200 complaints from the public. Now, we're up to here about whether you're a glass half full or empty, because some people say, well, things are working really well. You know, you only got 2,200 complaints out of 77,000 people. All right? And the good news for the licensees from that is that's only 2.85% of the licensee active population for those numbers people. I know some of you people are salespeople who do numbers in your head. So this math, I checked. So the good news is 2,200 out of 77,280, 2.85%. That's a very small segment of the population. That's good news, right? All right? Even better news. People think the real estate commission is out to get the licensees and make money. All right, to begin with, we don't keep the fines. They go to the state treasury, and we get appropriated back. We're not like a business making money. We get an appropriated amount every year, and that's what we spend. I even told the legislative budget committee one year, it's not a good idea, by the way. Basically said, you know, if you would give me another $500,000, I could produce more money for you because I could have more investigative programs. But be it as it may, that's it. 1,100 of the 2,200 become cases where you get a disciplinary action. All right, so if you do have a complaint filed, you've got a 50-50 chance of the case just being closed. And that's because two things. You can file a complaint with us by just sending us a notarized form, and you can say whatever you want on that form. We have very low thresholds for filing complaints. I think we would have more complaints filed, except you have to have the notarized signature. You know, y'all ever have people who are, you know, you get those, who's had a, you know, like a late at night email that someone sends you that, you know, you look at it, you look at the time, it's 2 a.m., and you know they're either mad or drunk or both, you know, and they type this email, and you wake up and you get that in the inbox, you know, and they really should put it in draft. They should do. If we let people file complaints without notarized signatures, we'd have that many more complaints because people would do it in fits of anger. At least they have to be mad and committed enough to get a notarized signature. So that slows it down. All right, so 1,100 complaints out of 77,280 active. Now the people being disciplined are 1.42% of the active license. Wow, that's really small. So, but here's the other part to it. There's that old saying or adage that 15% of the people sell 85% of the real estate. Okay, so I rework the number a little bit. I take 15% of the active population with the 1,100 complaints, and that shoots it back up to 9.49%. So if you sell a lot of real estate, you are more likely to deal with us at some point in time, but there's a half chance the case is going to get shut. So that's kind of the background of the statistics of what we do. So I'm going to talk a few minutes about things that we see across the licensing spectrum, so that if you are licensed, you can avoid doing these things and avoid getting in trouble with them. Complaints come from three places to us. They come from us, from internally, from things that we do. They come from agents, against agents. I call those frenemy complaints sometimes. You know, some of them are justified and some of them are competition driven. It's just the fact of life. And some of them come from consumers. All right. So let's talk about those three areas. From us, what do we look at? And we've had an uptick in this number of cases in the past few years. And what it is, you know, the license is renewed every 4 years. We're the only state in the country to have a 4-year licensing period. Most people have 2 or 1. So we have 4 years. We have 4 years to do the 36 hours of education. That number's gone up from 24. A lot of y'all probably remember the increase in like 15. All right. What we have seen since we've increased it is a number of people, they get to the renewal, and your renewal is going to be the last day of the month, every 4th year in your birthday month. That's when it is. And they go online and they renew, and they don't have the education complete. And that kicks their license to inactive. And I like to think that they have good intentions. And so the good intentions is, okay, I'll do the rest of that education tomorrow, this weekend, next week, next month, next year. You see where I'm going with this? They get over here further and further away from their renewal dates over there, but if they're not being supervised by a broker or someone's missed it, they may be working with a license that's not in proper order. And so we have had an uptick in cases where we're disciplining people for working on inactive licenses, where they repaid us the money, but they hadn't done the education, or on what we call a lapse license. Lapse license, if you just sail past that renewal date altogether and you don't do anything. Believe it or not, about 7 or 8 years ago, we had this little office that got chosen for a random audit of their firm down in Macon, and we went down there. My investigator called me whenever they get picked out, and especially the new one. And they're like, Craig. He said, you're not going to believe this. I said, well, you ought to try me first. Everyone down here is laughed. I said, what? Everyone here is laughed. The broker, the firm, and all 5 of the salespeople. They had a thriving little business going in this little countryside outside of Macon. So, those fines, by the way, are done on production. So if you're working on an inactive or lapsed license and you're making a lot of money because you're on a hot streak or you're closing a big deal, we are going to fine you commensurate with what you make. But I'm a firm believer, and this is just one of those human nature things. If you got on a $500 pair of shoes, me giving you a fine for $500 ain't going to do jack. You're going to go, oh, that's what my look cost me. So, you know, if we had someone who worked on a lapse license in Buckhead, they did a combination of residential and commercial for a good old 3 years, and they paid us like $50,000. But when we got the sheet, it was line after line after line after line of closed transactions. Here's the lesson. Do your CE. If you don't, quit working. It's really simple. All right.
And by the way, we're going to have a conference, is it October, September? 8 hours. Watch your emails.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Agents against agents. Let's talk about the ones that, you know, brokers are charged under the license law with letting us know if someone that works for them someone who's affiliated with their firm, has committed a license law violation. Those are what I call the most, those should come to us. And if you're a broker, and I know some people in here are, I heard the titles and the job functions as we went around, you really need to tell us, because that covers your, what, when you do. Because if we find out that someone that's been working for you has committed a license law violation and you haven't told us, then you're going to get in trouble under a supervisory role for something you did not do. So always tell us. If you think it's even a little gray area, tell us, and we'll shut the case down. But you want to protect yourself, because there are brokers who run firms where they have the policies and procedures and they have the educational courses and they do the right thing by the licensees, and the licensee will still go over here and do something they should not. The most common one right now in the residential arena, people work at firms where they're supposed to represent buyers and sellers. They're not supposed to do property management, and they just start doing property management all on their own, and we get a complaint, and we're like, the broker finds out, they need to tell us, because their policies and procedures and their rules for that particular firm says no property management. There was a lot of that in the recession, because people residential couldn't buy and sell the homes, and it kind of left over. So if you work in a firm, someone's violating your policies and procedures, you need to tell us if you find out, because that's a violation. The other agent complaints that we get are more what I call frenemies. I live in a neighborhood near Emory University where there's probably 1,000, 1,200 homes, count everything, and there are probably 6 people that work it like crazy, and any one of them could probably do a decent job of representing you. And if one of them left, the other 5 all go home and say, yay. Some of these people in these type, this goes across, I talk about residential because I'm more familiar with it. It goes across, I've seen some commercial complaints in this area too. People will turn each other in on advertising complaints. So if your advertising is out of whack, your competition might notice it. Most of these we're getting these days are social media complaints. People seem to somehow think that social media as a channel is vastly different from the old school media of print. And so while they will follow the rules that we have about having the firm name, the firm telephone number in something traditional, a postcard that might get mailed out, that type of thing, they put that under some type of social channel, the same information. They just leave all that stuff out. And so I tell the licensees, the reason you want the firm and the firm telephone number in there is because the broker's your friend. If the person you're representing, be it any type of transaction as a licensee, gets upset, they don't know who the firm and the broker is. Who are they going to come to right off the bat? Either me or their attorney. If they know who the broker is and someone tells them in a presentation, listen, there's someone that we use to help you, I'm responsible answering to, that can help us if we have a difficult situation, you've got the chance to get in there and fix something without it coming to us. Because when it comes to us, we look at the whole totality of the transaction. So if it's coming to us with something that they're upset about that may not be a license law violation, if we find one in there anyway, that's going to come up with the disciplinary action. Finally, consumers. Well, what are the consumers most worried about? There are 2 things. One is the money. Earnest money, any kind, any type of transaction that has not been consummated, and they feel like they should get the money back. And they write to us, why? Well, they write to us because they think that we're going to say, oh, I'm sorry, you gave the money to the wrong party. You need to undo that and give the money to the other person. We don't do that. But that's what they think. That's how we get it in. That's how it's written up. We look at the process. That's why whether you're the licensee, the salesperson, the associate broker, or the broker, we're looking at the process. Was it handled right here and coming in? Was it handled right at the firm as far as the accounting and the records? was the disbursement end. We're not going to tell you, oh, you made a big decision. We're going to evaluate your process. That's one. The other big consumer one, and we see this across the spectrum, is my offer was not presented. We see very many of those in the market that we're in with the homes because there's low inventory, but I've seen them in the commercial arena as well. Those are their two big things. And I'm going to end with this and turn it over to Commissioner Dempsey. I was trying to think, business brokers. So we have had some business broker cases. Not a lot. Business brokers are in an interesting situation because you're in a hybrid. You've got the business broker, and for better or worse, and that's a conversation we could have about regulation. I love that thing, but I'm not trying to talk about it right this second if they come back up. There's no license to be a business broker. Just like there's no license to be a home inspector anymore. So that's one situation. Yeah, dealing with the real estate, you need the real estate license. That leads to people I know, and we get unlicensed practice cases where people are touching the real estate without the real estate license. We had a fairly steady number of those over the 10 years I've been the head of the investigation department. Some of the people we've been able to get licensed. That's the best thing, is bring them into the fold. Some of them we've revoked, so they can't get licensed again and are repeat offenders. Those are difficult. That's the most common case we see that I can remember with the business brokers. Doesn't mean there's not more. Just that I think is somewhat due to the interesting situation that you find yourself in, and perhaps it's a little harder for someone to say they sell homes for a company that sells a business broker. And I know that gives y'all problems because I have an idea they get the money, they overvalue the business. You have to go in there and you get to deliver the message of cleaning up the mess. Someone who shouldn't even be doing the business. I understand that. All right. So at that point, I'm gonna let Lynn talk, and then we're gonna take some questions.
Great job. Y'all give the man a hand. What a Greg said he's been in the real estate division for 17 years. I've been there a year and a half. So I've got a lot to learn and learn. And Dean, I thank you so much for my adding the Luke. I thought it was Luke. It's Luke.
Luke, yeah.
I got it. Got a history of being in the real estate business through the auction business. 45 years. Total that up. But in any case, this is the room I had been looking for that whole 45 years. What a great crowd. So our privilege, Greg's and mine, to be here today. We do thank you for that. A little of my history, I was involved heavily in the auction business, good times and bad. Started in 1973, and man, it was great for 9 months. It was bad. Then starting about March of 74, somebody turned that big valve on, and up until about 82 or 3, it's different. Reminds me of a story that I heard. I do enjoy telling stories. I've been around this year and a half talking to real estate boards, about 50 in Georgia, and I've got about 5 more to go. I love what you hear. And I've been trying to listen to what people's concerns, what their complaints are, and what we can do better, and what we're doing all right, what they wish was going on in the real estate business. And I heard this story from a pastor or preacher, so I know it's true. He's talking about a real estate developer who had way overbuilt his home when times were good. And he was just going to enjoy that home for a few years, then sell it, and it was just going to be a great deal, what we all hoped for. Lo and behold, one night he had a terrible fire. That house burned down total loss. It's a horrible thing. And he was discussing this with a friend that he hadn't seen for a long time who didn't know about the fire. He explained that as bad as it is, he had a great insurance. insurance agent came in, evaluated everything, paid it the total loss, $400,000. Because they were out this morning. Get along okay. Find it, you start. Really, really proud of that. The friend promptly explained that he experienced a similar loss, except that his was a flood. It came and he had lost everything. But he was awarded $4 million for his loss. First guy hesitated. How do you start a flood? Not a true story. Not a true story. I'm fascinated with his story and how that relates to what I have done all of my life. One of the most interesting things that I want to tell you about in 1975 when things had gotten so bad. Atlanta had tremendously overbuilt in condominiums. Anybody here remember those days? I mean, well, no, I did. Oh my goodness. Okay, a couple of you. The problem with condominiums in those days was if you sold 3 or 4 out of 40 or 50, there was no market for that. But a company from California, Robert Rouse and Associates, came in, and they started selling all over the Southeast condominiums, particularly Atlanta, because Atlanta was having overbuilt. And they would fix up a model unit, furnish it beautifully, pave the parking lot, new signage, get the financing lined up so that you're going to live there, 90% financing, you're going to rent it 80%. But the key was after the auction, and he was auctioning. After the auction, they were all sold. So there was a market and a marketable asset. And it was a beautiful concept. First thing that happened, every broker in town called the real estate. Said, no more of this. Because he was working without a license in California. I was 23, 4, 5 years old. Read about that in Atlanta paper. Next thing I know, I'm in Charlotte having an interview with Mr. Ray. Explaining how to office, what I could do. I just got him back. I was so fired up. I'm $1,000, not like $2,000. I mean, I was so fired up. He said, son, that'll never do. I said, sir? He said, the way we auction in California, I'm going to do $5,000 who will get 10, 10,000 who will get 15. Well, that's not the way we do it down here, but whatever you say, sir. So, as it turned out, we had a wonderful relationship, worked things out for the real estate commission, which was possible to do. All you had to do was a video. And now, Georgia Real Estate Commission reciprocates with about every state in the union, Craig. So it's a wonderful unrestraint of trade that you have here in the state of Georgia. I love to talk to people about what you have in this state. Just a few things to remember. You all know it. The busiest airport in the country. Dean and I were talking about this port in Savannah. Record tonnage, I believe, Dean, this year.
Yes, every year for the last several years.
It just opened inland port, the second inland port in Chatsworth. I did not realize that Cordele was open, and they had a huge role in getting Kia to locate where it is. All of the junction of 3 railroads there in Cordele. We have 2 inland ports open. I think there's 7 scheduled to open. So this, one of our gubernatorial candidates, big part of the plank of his platform was 16 over to LaGrange, up right through Rome, Georgia, which is where I happen to have lived all my life for the last couple of years in Atlanta. But without much construction on our highways, the 4 lanes are already in to get this truck traffic. off the highway before you go through the plant. Tremendous program already in existence. I urge you to watch that. Next year, we're going to have, it's already been mentioned, I think, the national championship football. Go to, that's all I can say. Try to be Georgia Tech, Georgia State here in Atlanta, tech schools that we have, tremendous facilities. If you put a figure to Amazon, $50,000 average per job, it's $5 billion per year that lands here. But just to be in the top 5 or possibly the top 2, what does that say about Atlanta? So that's what you have to sell. I think it's a tremendous, tremendous thing. And what I have learned about this administration and about the way we're configured as a real estate commission, it says, Craig says, we're not, depending on what someone might have done, there is going to be a fair treatment. We'll go before the commission. There's another legal procedure that they can go before if they don't like what they hear there. Come back before the commission, go to Superior Court, all the way up. It's a fair process that I'm so glad to be associated with. I know you folks are responsible for a tremendous amount of business that you've done in the state that is the #1 state to do business in for 5 years ago. That's what we've had. Water Rec, I'm so proud of you for having been a part of that. Craig and I really thank you for having us here. I know we're going to be meeting the board shortly about some other matters, and we want to hear your concerns. Our phones are there. We've got a brand new phone system in, and I've got a pocket full of cards if anybody wants one. Glad to share those with you. I will share one more story with you that is my favorite, and then we'll see if y'all have any questions. Do we have any appraisers in the room? Oh, good. Okay, you'll enjoy it. Good. Greg knows this, Greg. I apologize. There was an appraisal that we are regulating along with real estate folks, and I'm sure y'all are aware of that. This one fellow had passed away, and he found himself in front of a golden gate. And there's a fellow with a long beard behind it, and gold road behind it. And I've worked hard all my life. I've gotten up here. I'm so proud I've done right. What a reward. So he just speaks up and says, "Are you St. Peter?" He said, "Why, yes, I am." He said, "Does that mean I'm getting into heaven?" He says, "Well, you can answer one question. I'll let you." He said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "What's 2 plus 2?" He said, "Man, that's like that real estate appraiser test. That's a trick question." Ask me that one more time. He says, "What's 2 plus 2? What's it need to be?" All right, well, we're ready. Come on up.
All right.
So he is in the back. I'll recognize him and you answer. In the back.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm a broker, 92, almost 30 years, Schumacher Group. We mostly do restaurants, retail, commercial real estate, and I handle this division that does restaurant brokers, sells businesses, absolutely a lot of real estate. So I had a situation recently, scam artists have been hitting a lot of different firms. I reached out to the real estate commission, and he said, "We can't help you. Speak to a lawyer." So I spoke to several lawyers, including one that I was told wrote a lot of the bylaws real estate commission, I won't name, and I spoke to several lawyers, I spoke to several brokers. I probably spoke to and interviewed maybe 24 different people who all said, who had no answer. And the lawyer basically said, I'll tell you the situation. Don't worry, if you get the complaint lodged against you, anybody can do it. It'll be dismissed, it'll be handled. Okay. So the scam artist has reached out to myself and several firms and have been flooding us with offers. So I received 20 different offers on one day. Person wouldn't sign a non-disclosure, wouldn't pre-qualify, and and I've kept the record of every single response. I respectively wrote back and said, you have to. Okay. So several of the offers actually had, several of my listings actually had the address of the commercial property. So for those, I sent them to my sellers and solicited something in writing saying they received it and they rejected it because he wanted 100% financing, wouldn't re-qualify. He has mug shots online, very dangerous. Okay. So the other 16, and now it's become like almost 30, I basically wrote back that I can't present the offer. You don't have the name or address of the business. He's reached out to other firms where he has forged their names on top of forms, a law firm or a special law firm. He put the name of their law firm on top of the form. Okay. So you get the picture. And so I have several dozen emails from other brokers where he's doing the same scam type stuff. So I reached out to the commission and said, I don't want to work with this guy, but I want to be in compliance. The bylaws does say that if it does have a name, an address, or whatever he's looking to buy, I think it said you have to present the office. But I reached out, I can't get a single answer that, like, why do I have to work with this person? Every other broker saying, we're ignoring him, we're not responding to him. But he's threatening, license, complaints and all those other things.
Well, it sounds like the only thing I don't understand from our perspective, and I apologize for that, is it sounds like he needs to have a license, so that'd be unlicensed.
He's a buyer. He's a buyer.
So he's not representing someone else.
No, he's a buyer for himself. And I just can't get it.
Is he trying to collect the commission?
Yeah, he did in the beginning. And that was just a buyer. He keeps changing, like I said, he keeps changing the forms. He won't re-qualify. And like I said, it's very scary when you get 30 offers in a day. And, it's funny, one of the offers that came in, he sent a fake representation form from another agency that said this agency, a KW agent, was representing him, and he had in there that,
And that might bring him into our purveyance too, because he's not under us as a buyer. So he would be under us if he's trying to represent someone else and he's not properly licensed.
he's representing himself in most.
He could come under us because if some of the things you described, it may be helping himself to license someone else's licensure somehow, and that would bring him into us.
Well, he switched his forms recently where he's not doing that, and it's just like the most recent one was he put his name at the top of the form as a buyer, looking at, but the point is, I want to be in compliance, and I don't want to.
So your question is basically, do you have to deal with this guy that you know to be a fraud?
I say no, kind of like, other than just ignoring without the threat of a complaint, because he threatens complaints.
He's never going to file.
Yeah. But he still could. But he could. How do you say no to a guy and not be that? What's well, he's sending you offers to buy either commercial property.
Does he have to deal with this guy?
And it's not. I'm not the only person. Several.
you know, I'm trying to think of a good answer. One doesn't occur for me off the bat because are they legit? They're legitimate written offers or not? In your opinion, or no? They make, well, then you could take the position that you don't have to present the offer because it doesn't constitute somewhat of a legal distinction. But if you look at it and you feel like it doesn't constitute a true written offer, that for certain reasons, that would be one way to say, hey, I'm not presenting that. I think that would be what you would have to tell us too. Should this person complain? I agree with the gentleman that says if the person is basically some type of scam artist, they're not going to want to complain to us because part of the thing is they'll get looked at for their activities as well as yours. You might want to send us what he had done with the other firms on a complaint form because that might hook him into us. Now, usually unlicensed activity, like I said, the good people, there's good heart and bad heart stuff. We can work with good and bad head a lot better than good and bad heart because you know that bad heart's in there. That's been in there a while. So, you know, we could do a C and D to some of those people sometimes. Some of them, you know, they're like, sometimes, you know, yeah, cease and desist. Sometimes we can take those to the authorities. Harder to do in the city. I've tried a couple of times, but I've got a repeat offender, used to be licensed, be revoked, but I've tried everything to do to get him to stop, you know? So, but I don't know that we can't exactly take a complaint and look into it based on some of the things you've said. I would not worry about him filing a complaint against you.
So let's, the 2-second follow-up is that when I call the real estate commission, check.
I'm going to give you my card. I got it.
Okay.
Get on me.
Well, Joe's right there.
Right here.
I'm gonna get an answer.
Well, I think you have to realize the people answering the phone at the real estate commission, they're good-hearted, but they're really, this is a hard question. This is a hard question for Commissioner Dempsey and I. The person who's answering the phone at the commission, they're there more to help you with your license. If you can't figure the answer out with the knowledge you've got in your head, and the attorney can't figure the answer out, and I'm up here struggling with it, until I see all the facts on paper, and I can't. The person answering the phone at the commission, they'll be able to answer your question. It's too much to ask of the system. They're going to say, they're more like, when do you need to renew? How many hours do you need to renew? What do I do to change my address? It's too difficult. And we can't let them give advice on cases because then we get people further on in the process. When they get to me, they're like, well, Chandler told me on the phone on September 30th, blah, 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 blah. You mean that isn't true? And I'm like, well, Chandler's not an attorney, you know? So that's why we're getting that's part of it right here.
Mr. Dempsey, you mentioned 1975. Yeah. Atlanta was overfilled with condominiums. Right now, if you drive around Atlanta, like for example, Taylor Morrison, the builder, they have 30 sites building $400,000 at top condominium. Are you seeing similar things like in 1975?
Atlanta's a way different place now. I mean, it's such an international city. You've got Super Bowl here next year. It's just.
So you feel good about right now?
What do y'all think? I feel great. But I'll tell you something. 800 licenses a month tells you a lot. That's unsustainable. And when you got that, you can shake hands with folks coming in our door every day, and there are people that love to come in the door. And I love to talk to them. And they are coming from all over the world.
It has to be, because I'm about to downsize my house and buy one. So if it isn't, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
Nick.
It's a strong market now.
Nick Medeiros.
Two-fold question. How long does it take you guys to respond to a complaint? And then the second one is actually for the room. There's a lady called Cindy York, which she represents liquor stores, so-called. And I've seen her name many times in the past, like 18 years. Never seen her, never met her, never talked to her. But there are a lot of so-called listings that pop up when you go looking for a liquor. And I'm assuming she's not licensed because I looked her up. And, we as colleagues don't like to turn each other in, but I don't even know if she's a colleague or not.
She's not a colleague if she's not licensed.
Right.
She's hard to find.
So you already know about it.
I tried to find her. I can't. My service processor couldn't find her. So how's she doing? This is the part I don't understand. This is the part I don't understand about Ms. York. We'll say Ms. Smith. Anyway, I can't find her. How does she do these deals? I guess if you have money, you can find her. I mean, I traced the addresses. I've tried to find her for unlicensed practice. I still would love to meet her. If she ever shows up with one of y'all, lock her in the closet and call me, and I'll send someone over. She's hard to find. But you're right. I've seen her ad. I've seen her, and I've tried to find her in the server we come from us. I have not been able to find her. The first part of the question. It is taking about 9 months to get it assigned, and then there's probably like 3 months. It's taking about a year based on the current volume. I have hired an additional person. We used to have 3 investigative pods. We used to have appraisal applications. Those are the people getting licensed, and real estate brokers is where these are. The appraisers have declined by half since 2007, for better or worse. That's a whole conversation. And the applications, with 800 people getting licensed every month, about 150 of those people have something that has to get cleared. So we put appraisal and application together, 3 people in that, and everybody else is in real estate brokers, and I've hired an extra person. We kind of try to triage them a little bit, take some of them out that we know and close them. We reworked our close the case formatting to report to the commission members who we answer to, who are appointed by the governor, and that sped up things to some degree. Cases go up and down with the market, I had gotten it down. I say high because I get the credit when it goes down, but I don't. A lot of it's beyond my control. So it's like I get credit when it's good, and I get not credit when it's not good. We had gotten them down to like 4 months coming in. So that was when the recession, it went down from, there was a point, 2006, 2007, we were licensing 12 to 1,300 people a month. All right. So we got down to 9 or 10, 250 people a month. So my application cases went, that allows you to catch up on the real estate cases because everyone's cross-trained. Now we're in, as long as the media is good about real estate, there's more business to do, there are more people coming in. The minute you start reading in the newspaper about bad real estate, like what you're saying, the possibility of there'll be bad real estate again. I mean, how many people in here have been through the cycles more than once? Come on, it's just the way it is. It builds, and then it goes. That's why I got to sell my house and get into a condo before the market goes the other way, because I owned that house in 1996. It's a good time to take the money and go. It is. It is. And I'm going to go back into something less expensive, and maybe I can retire someday. That's my idea. But it goes. As soon as it gets in the media that real estate is bad, all these people will stop coming in and getting licensed. And those cases will go down, and we'll catch up on the real estate. The appraiser cases, and I'll finish those. The appraiser cases lag the market because no one complains about the appraisals until the market goes bad and something gets foreclosed upon. And then it's not the agent's fault, it's not the buyer's fault, it's not the seller's fault, it's the appraiser's fault. Seriously, they took it on the chin. There are all these people involved, and the appraisers took it on the chin for the valuation. That's what happened last time. Those cases go up because the lending institutions start lending the files after they foreclose. Yeah.
In New York, so I don't have your workload. So I don't need to file a complaint. You already know about this case, or do I need to
file a complaint, sign it, and have it notarized?
Yeah, you can send another complaint. It'll give me another crack to try to find her.
You can go on our website. We have a form and but be sure to have it notarized. That would be the process.
I've been trying to find her. I had my investigator go to where supposedly she worked, the last business address I had for her.
She works out of Carolina or someplace.
Well, she had a business address in Georgia, but it turned out to be like a storage unit or something.
Sandy Springs.
It doesn't really, she's not there though.
You got a phone number, act like a fire.
Somebody over here.
Somebody back there, Carolyn?
Yeah. Yes.
That's a really good question. I don't know if it's simple, but, it's a simple question, it's not a simple answer. I think that it's like they're different. Let me think a second how I want to explain this from my perspective.
While you're thinking, can I put something?
Yeah, of course you can.
There are those that would like to see separate licenses. They'll look at it one way. The legislature will look at it another. That's going to be a political process. Legislation would have to go in and be passed for that to happen. That is a very difficult thing to do when you have a lot more residential agents than commercial agents, and it's going to be the commercial ones that are going to be much more motivated at that time. So I guess that's my opinion. I have heard from both sides. One of the first things that I heard from was that question.
That's one of those. Let's go back to the first one a minute. The thing about the political about licensing, there are people at the real estate commission. We're administrators and regulators. I have a personal opinion. Would I have a problem with separate licensing? Probably not. Politically, where it breaks down is I think people who work in the greater metro Atlanta area tend to specialize. As you get further and further away, if you're not around the city like Columbus or Athens or something like that, you get smaller brokers who do it all still, and they have political power. So that's the issue. One of the things is we don't really get to decide the licensing issue. They may ask our opinion. We'll probably go to some conferences. We wouldn't be driving it. The people with the most pull at the legislature from the political side is the Georgia Association of Realtors. That's the muscle, and they work with things, and we work with them in partnership sometimes. I'm not opposed to separate licensing. I don't know if it gets done. I think we're in kind of my take on the regulatory environment, we're kind of in an anti-regulatory environment. And one thing that's interesting from being a regulator is like people's view of it is we've got too much regulation. We've got too much regulation, but too many rules. It's suppressing business, the ability to make money, and all of us to prosper. But then you get in your area, and it's like, we need more rules. And that's how people are geared up. I look at things that don't affect me, and I have to deal with the federal government on the appraiser program, and there are so many rules. I've got people, they're 4,500 appraisers, 4,000 of them are active. I have people we at work, because of the federal government and the rules, we spend 30% of our time on those 4,000 people. When how many did I say there were real estate? 77,000? Because of rules. So I get it. But then when you turn it to yours, people are like, oh, we don't need rules for our thing. We need rules over here. So I think it's harder to get licensing in. I worked on the home inspector licensing for 2 to 3 years, and it got vetoed by the governor on the last day you could possibly veto it, and we had no signals to that. I thought Governor Perdue was a fine governor. That was my first time at the rodeo with the legislature. Everybody's talking about how hard it is. It sailed through one side, and it goes to the other side. It sailed back, and I, with my naivety of my first time, was like, oh, everything's going beautifully. Look at this. The process is working. government when I was young. I worked. All these programs in Washington. I'm like, I'm finally an adult. I'm maybe 40-ish at the time, you know, naive for government legislature. Oh, it's working, it's working. Last day, that thing got vetoed. 3 years of work down the drain. So don't forget y'all stop legislative. And you know, it's very wrong. And all has its place. So, of course, the Association of Realtors, like you say, is a very, very strong group representing all kinds of things. But, like earnest money, I don't know, the license law, it's like that's the dog chasing the tail. It's like it's the earnest money in the license law because we thought up the earnest money, or it's the earnest in the practice, so it got written into the license law. So, you know, I don't know. That's an interesting question. That's contract law. You know, Mr. Weissman knows that. He's kind of I would love to. I'd love to hear Mr. Weissman's answer because he's kind of like the contract bureau behind the bar for us. But he would probably have a really good answer for us. And maybe I'll put it on my phone maybe about every other month. So I'd love to hear his take on that.
Are you suggesting though that the earnest money is immaterial to the strength of the contract? I would argue that. I think, and the reason being, someone that has, particularly in a personal contract, 5-10% down payment to lose, is going to be much more motivated to go through it. You know, so
They didn't have them throw enough skin in the game. It's like if you sell $1 million house, it's the same thing with the client. You sell $1 million house, you're gonna get $1,000 from somebody. You're gonna say, don't you want to take that offer seriously? $1,000 is a 2-day weekend away for somebody like that.
Any other questions? Anybody?
Now, we always know, I'm going to throw this out there, there's always somebody who may have a question they don't want to throw out in the room, and so we're open to y'all coming to talk to us afterwards, but I always get a good story out of those questions, because there's always a really good story behind it. So if you've got one of those, you want to talk to us about calling us, come on up, and we'll be glad to talk, and thank you all very much.
We need to do a little housekeeping.